The pale hour finds the yard holding last night's cool, and the stone under your heel gives back a quiet firmness that asks you to move with care. You fold your cloak along its old crease and smooth the edge with your palm. Cloth smells clean, a little like smoke and wool. You lift your round shield from the bench, cool bronze against your palm, and feel the weight settle across your forearm in a known line. Dust in the lane beyond the gate gives its dry, simple scent. When you ease the door pin up, iron and wood let out one soft sigh, and the sound sits inside your chest, like a small lamp being shaded. You set the shield face down on a cloth and tie the inner strap so it will not wander. Leather smells warm from your hand. The stitched edge is smooth. A clay bowl holds clear water. You rinse your fingers and pass the wet across the rim to lift fine dust. The bowl tastes faintly of earth when a drop touches your lip. A lamp on the shelf is only a dark mouth now, but the room keeps a thread of yesterday's oil in the air. The soft sigh of the door pin lingers near the threshold, like a kind thought you do not need to hold too tightly. Bread from last night rests on a wooden board. You break a small piece, dip it in a spoon of oil, and taste a quiet fruit on the tongue. Olives carry a mild salt that settles the mouth. You fold the rest into a strip of cloth and tie it with a short rope so the bundle rides well on your belt. A small skin for water leans against the wall. You lift it, test the knot, and feel the weight answer your hand. In the corner, a goat noses straw and shifts, then lets the stable return to still. Somewhere past the wall, a neighbor coughs once, and a shutter meets wood with a soft touch. You brush sand from your sandals and snug each thong across the top of your foot. The leather has grown a little stiff from the cool. It warms as you handle it. A length of ash wood waits by the door, the spear shaft plain and straight. You hold a cloth to the metal point and wipe a thin film away so the edge will not bite your pack. Wood grain presses a fine map into your palm when you slide your hand down to the grip. You tie a narrow strip of linen at the spot you like. The knot draws tight with a small cord creak and stays. Cloak over shoulder, shield on arm, spear in hand. You lean long enough to watch the room remember the place you will leave. The lamp on the shelf, the bowl, the quiet jar, the folded cloth on the bench. Nothing asks you to stay, and nothing urges you on. The door frame is cool to the fingers. You lower the pin once more to hear that soft sigh again, just to fix the sound in your ear for the road. The gate answers with a faint rub of wood on wood. Pale light softens the stone in the lane, and the dust there smells dry and simple, the way a day begins when it means to hold steady. You walk toward the mouth of the lane at an easy pace, straps snug, sandals steady. Shield edge rides your forearm. The round face brushes your hip. Rope along the neighbor's jars hangs quiet. Smoke from a small lamp on a shelf slips into the cool and leaves a sweet thread in the nose. A rat in the gutter makes one dry sound and is gone. At the lane's end, the first blue of morning spreads like thin cloth, and you carry your road through it without hurry. Stone gives way to packed earth, and the ground carries the night's chill up into the soles of your sandals. You shift the spear so the weight rests across your shoulder. Wood and linen answer in a calm way. Sea air drifts in from far off and leaves a grain of salt along your lip. You swallow and taste bread again, faint and good. A rope on a well post lets out one slow creak when someone draws water. Then silence folds back over the yards. You think of the door pin and how it sighed when you lifted it, and the memory rides beside your stride, a soft marker to count the distance. Low fields open along the road, furrows holding a thin silver where dew sits. The smell there is wet soil and crushed green. You pass a grove and touch a trunk as you go. The bark is cool and clean with night. Birds whisper in the leaves but do not rise. Your shoulder warms under the shield strap and then forgets it. When you adjust the bundle of bread at your belt, the knot's rope chafes your knuckles in a small, honest way. Dust lifts under your heel and falls back without complaint. You pause at a stone trough to tie your sandal thong again and to drink. Water moves across your tongue with a taste of clay and cold. A clay cup on the ledge has a chip at the rim. You turn it and avoid the sharp. Your hands hold the cup with a long patience, just to feel its weight shift from the rim to the base and back again. The road listens and gives you nothing but the small sound of linen against wood when you set your spear down for a moment. You lift it, and that quiet sound stops as if a finger closed a lid. A cart passes on a far track, wheels humming low, oxen slow and sure. The smell that follows is dry straw and a hint of warm hide. You watch the rope across the yoke rub and then rest. The driver does not look your way, and the ground keeps its shape. You settle your cloak and feel the cloth fall across your back like a hand placed there to remind you that the body is present. Nothing asks for speed. The easy pace holds you. Your mouth still carries a little oil, and the taste keeps a calm line in the head. You meet others moving along the road without set plan. A pair of men with nets rolled tight. A woman with a bowl under her arm and a cloth over it. A child carrying kindling bound with a thin rope. The wood smell is clean and sharp. Each goes with an even walk, and the road accepts all of you without care. Your shield rim brushes your thigh and gives a small, dull ring, then nothing. When the wind changes, sea brings a faint fish salt to the nose, and the scent folds into the morning like a line drawn along the edge of a page. Fields thin, rock shows, and the ground grows narrow between hill and shore. You lean into the mild rise and feel stone answer the sandal. The spear's tip glints once, and then hides as the path bends. You stop where a view opens and lift the water skin again. The lip of the skin is soft. It tastes of old leather and a little smoke from many fires. Distant water lays a slow shush along the stones you cannot see. The sound reaches you, is heard, and then lies down. You touch the shield face and find it warmer now. Your palm leaves a mark that fades. At a shrine rock by the bend, you set your load on a flat stone and rub a little oil into a tight place on the strap. The smell rises and feels like a friend coming near without fuss. Cloth pulls along the leather and makes a small swish that tells you the knot will hold. You break the bread bundle and eat a little more, tearing it with slow care so the crumbs stay on the cloth. A fig from your pouch is sweet and soft. The seed crackles once and is gone. You fold the cloth and tie it at your belt again, and the rope ends lie quiet. As sun reaches the ridge, warmth comes down the slope and takes the edge from the morning. You watch a line of ants cross the path with a steady, simple mind for their work. Sand under your sandal shifts a grain and then stops. You lean to tighten the thong again and feel the leather yield. The spear's shadow lies long on the road and shows the straight you hold in your hands. At the far field wall, a donkey moves and lets a low sound fall and end. The road ahead narrows and turns toward the place where rock and sea speak close to each other. You move again and let the day grow around you. Your shoulder knows the shield now and stops thinking about it. Your hand slips along the spear's smooth place, and the grain is a quiet river under skin. The lane behind is more than a street of dust and stone. It is a weight you carry that does not slow you down. You remember the door pin and how it sighed once, as if to give a small yes to your leaving. That sound lives at the edge of your hearing as the land changes and the salt grows stronger on the wind. You pass a last cluster of houses set low by a stream. Smoke rises straight from a lamp and keeps close to the roof. A woman throws sand on a wet patch by her door and smooths it with a broom, bristles whispering on stone. The whisper feels like a cousin to the doorpin's sigh. A rope line across the yard holds cloth that smells of water and soap. You look without stopping, and the day takes the picture and sets it kindly aside. Where the road finds the shore, you rest in a patch of shade. Wood from a small dock gives out a sun-warm smell that blends with tar and salt. A boat rope answers its post with a slow rub and then holds still. You set your shield down with the rim on cloth so bronze does not ring. Water in your skin is cooler here. One swallow meets the back of your throat and eases the long, simple need to drink. A crumb of bread stays on your lip. You catch it with your tongue and taste flour again. Then nothing. The pass lies farther on, past the steaming water you have heard about, past the narrow line where cliff and sea leave only room for a few. You do not rush your thoughts there. You shape your day by small things, a knot you check, a strap you smooth, a grain you brush from your heel, a thread you pick from the cloak and tuck into the hem. The spear's linen tie gives one soft creak when you test it. The shield strap answers with a quiet glide as you settle it once more where the arm likes it. The world stays even. When you rise at last, the light has rounded into a pale gold that makes stone seem soft and close. You take the road again, calm in the body, plain in the mind. Your fingers smell of oil and clean water. Your mouth holds a narrow salt from the air. Your eyes hold the lane behind and the sea beside and the low hills ahead. And somewhere between ear and heart, the sound of the doorpin's single gentle sigh stays with you. A small note of wood and iron that chooses no hurry and gives you a quiet measure for the way to Thermopylae. The lane opens into low fields, and the road shows shallow ruts warmed by early sun. Dust lifts and settles in a slow veil, and the taste on your tongue is dry grain with a hint of salt from the sea air. Your cloak lies smooth along your shoulder. The shield strap rides your ribs and stays sure. Leather creaks when you shift the spear across your shoulder, a small, friendly sound. Pine shade flickers over your eyes as trees lean across the road. Far ahead, a cart rope rubs the yoke with a low thread, and the thin sound lays a gentle measure across the morning. You lean the spear for a moment to snug the strap and smooth a fold at your neck. The ash shaft is warm where the sun has touched it, and the linen tie near the grip brushes your palm with a soft grain. Resin rises from a fallen twig when your sandal slides it, sweet and clean. The shield rim grazes your hip with a steady weight that does not argue. A swallow draws a quick line across the light and vanishes into shade. The cart rope's low rub reaches you again through the trees, the same soft, even thread. Fields hold stubble from a last cutting, and new green shows in neat rows. You smell crushed stems and damp edges where night held a little water. When you lift your skin and drink, the mouth of leather tastes of smoke and old well clay, cool and good. A strip of cloth wraps your bread. You press it once so the knot stays. Far off, stones by the shore make a faint shush that comes and goes. The cart rope rubs the yoke once more, then rests, as if the road itself called and let go. You pass a wall of piled stones, each one cool to the fingers when you lay a hand there to rest. lichen gives a dry, clean scent that barely rises, and the shade holds a thin chill. A boy moves in a field with a wooden rake. The wood makes a soft whisper across soil. A woman holds a clay bowl against her hip and walks toward a stream. Water smell rides ahead of her, bright and simple. The road accepts all of you without crowd. From behind a low hill, that same rope, rub on a yoke, finds your ear again, calm and unhurried. Pines stand close where the ground dips, and you settle under them to rub a rough place on your strap. Oil on your cloth smells warm and ripe. It seeps into leather and quiets it. Your fingers carry the scent. You touch your shield rim and leave a faint shine. A little bread on your tongue brings flour and salt. A fig from your pouch gives soft sugar that lingers. Wind moves through needles with a thin hush, and light falls in broken coins across your knee. The cart rope's low thread drifts through the hush like a single reed note held steady. You rise and carry the spear again, point wrapped so it will not catch. The road narrows between a bank of rock and a strip of bright water. Stone beside you feels sun-warm on the palm. The face of it smells like dust and time. A gull calls above the shore and then is quiet. A small dog watches from a doorway and lifts its nose once to taste the wind. Your sandals find the ruts where carts have gone, and the ground gives a mild answer that keeps your pace even. Somewhere beyond the bend, wood meets wood as a yoke settles, and the rope's low rub returns to mark the turn. You pass a grove of olives, their silver leaves making a soft light of their own. The trunks are old and smooth under the hand, cool and kind. You brush sand from your ankle and feel the fine grit leave the skin like flour off a board. The smell here is leaf and clay and the faint smoke of cooking from a far house. Your shield edge carries a little warmth now. It presses your forearm in a way that feels like a promise to hold. The cart you cannot yet see gives its quiet rope sound once, then fades into the grove as if it were always part of the trees. A man leads a donkey with baskets slung by ropes. The ropes creak low and steady, and the animal's coat smells of clean dust and grass. Two children walk behind with a bundle of kindling tied in cloth. The wood smells green at the ends. No one hurries. Your spear rests straight across your shoulder. Your hand slides the shaft to test the smooth place you shaved last winter. Linen at the grip keeps its small, faithful rasp. From the shore, a boat rope answers a post with one slow rub, and the sea keeps its long, quiet talk with stone. You stop by a shallow ditch and run water over your hands. It is cool, and it leaves a clay line on the skin that dries and goes to dust. You wipe your palms on the inside of your cloak and feel the fabric give a little, soft and well worn. A bee finds the salt at your wrist and moves on. The spear point cover smells like singed cloth, where you sealed it near a lamp, a memory of older work. When you shoulder the weight again, leather answers with that same small creak you have learned to trust. From the other side of the rise, the cart rope gives its low, familiar thread, and your day finds its rhythm again. You walk past a field of barley that reaches to your thigh. The heads dry and full. The sun catches them and turns them to a pale fire that does not burn. Your mouth tastes grain the way it does after grinding, though you have had none since dawn. The air gathers more salt. The sea must be close, even if the path hides it. A lark lifts its thin song and lets it fall. The shield rides your arm without complaint, and the spear knows where to lie. The rope on the yoke hums once as the cart at last passes across a far opening, a low, even stroke of sound. And then the trees cover the view, and the sound falls away. You come to a place where the road meets a stone shelf, and you sit a while. The rock is rough in patches and smooth in patches. It tells you how many feet and wheels have come here. You unwrap the cloth at your belt and eat the last of the bread you saved for this hour. Oil on the cloth gives your fingers a soft shine. You rub the shine into the strap and make it right. Your water skin is light now. One careful swallow leaves a small cool at the back of your mouth. Across the road, shade from a pine draws lines on the ground like the ribs of a long ship. Somewhere not far, the rope rubs the yoke again with that low note, your gentle measure, and the day settles into it as calmly as you do. When you stand, your knees tell you they have held the weight well, and the sandals find their place without thought. You brush dust from your shield with the cloth and tie the cloth to your belt so it can dry. The road ahead bends toward rock and steam you cannot yet see. The air carries a little change, like warm stone mixed with salt. You lift the spear to your shoulder and feel the shaft answer the hand as if it were part of your arm. The cart has gone on, but its rope's low thread seems to linger in the ruts themselves, a soft line across earth as you move along the fields toward the narrow place that waits. The road thins between hill and shore, and your easy pace carries you into a narrow mouth of stone. Wind rolls along the cut with a clean edge that tastes of salt and dry grain. Pine shade flickers over your eyes and then opens to bright. Leather gives one low creak as you shift the spear across your shoulder. From ahead, a faint warmth rises into the air. Water whispers around broken rock with a soft, steady hiss, and you know you have come to the steaming pools people call the hot gates. You slow beside a shelf of stone and set your shield on a folded cloth so bronze will not ring. Stone under your feet holds old heat. It meets your soles with a quiet, patient touch. Sulfur sits in the nose, sharp at first, then calm when the wind moves it thin. Mist drifts from a crack and lays a cool veil on your cheeks like fine linen. Leather straps settle along your ribs and stop thinking. The hiss keeps its even line, the kind of sound that marks a place without asking for speech. You lean over a rim where the water turns from clear to white. Mineral crust grips the lip in little walls that crumble like soft bread if a finger presses too hard. You do not press. You cup a palm, lift a taste, and find warm salt with a bitter trace that leaves the tongue awake. A low rope runs from post to post, so a foot will not slide. The fibers smell damp and honest. Far off, a boat rope answers its post with one slow rub, and the sea brings a deeper hush behind the pool's thin hiss. You loosen a sandal thong and rest on a flat slab. The slab holds stored sun from other days and gives it back to your skin in a mild way. Dust on your heel turns to clay when you wet it. You scrub it off with a pinch of sand and feel clean stone below. The spear lies beside you on the cloth. Ash wood shows pale grain where your hand has worn it smooth. You chew a corner of bread. Oil on the crumb softens the mouth and steadies the chest. The hiss threads through the taste as a quiet measure of time. You fill a small bowl and carry it to a shaded ledge. Steam curls, then thins into the morning air. The bowl warms your fingers, and the clay smells like earth after rain. A goat outside the stones calls once and finds hay, then silence. A pair of men pass with a bundle of wood on a pole. Resin scent travels with them and fades. You set the bowl down and rub oil into your strap where it had dried, slow circles that make leather dark and kind again. The steady hiss keeps the ledge company. You walk the narrow path between pool and cliff and touch the cliff face with your free hand. The rock is cold where mist does not reach, warm where it does, a simple map you can read with your skin. The path is dusted with fine powder that tastes faintly of sulfur when your tongue wets your lip. A jar rests in the shade, its cloth stopper tied with a twist of short rope. Water has marked the clay in pale rings. A woman moves somewhere beyond the bend with a basket and does not come into view. The hiss folds around the bend and follows you like a thin companion. You set a short camp under a pine that leans over the pass. Needles smell sharp and green. The ground there is soft with old fall. You shake your cloak, lay it on sand and stone mixed to a gentle bed, and tuck a corner under a rock so wind will not take it. Your lamp stays dark, but the wick carries a sweet note of oil when you check the pin. You draw the spear to your lap and retie the linen near the grip so it will not fray, pulling the knot snug until a quiet cord creak says it is right. The hiss hangs just outside the shade and hums along the edge of thought. You wipe your shield face with a clean cloth and watch mist write a faint cloud on bronze before it clears. The cloth smells of soap and sun from yesterday's line. It leaves the rim bright, not sharp. You set the shield to dry with the boss against wood, so no wet will pool at the lower curve. A swallow skims the steam and takes a sip in flight. A thin shine of water beads on its back and runs off. You hold still long enough to feel tiny drops land and cool your forearm hair. The hiss continues, the same low ribbon that turns work into ritual. You gather small stones from the path and move the loose ones aside so sandals will not catch later. Each stone is cool and smooth. Each click against another is hollow and gentle. You brush the cleared place with your palm. Grit whispers under skin, then leaves your hand dusted white. A faint iron taste comes from the edge of a rusted nail left in wood. You do not use it. You line the stones into a lip that will hold your bowl steady when you return. The hiss threads the clicks with its soft line until the clicks end, and only the water speaks. From a high shelf, you watch the thin road pinch tight between cliff and water. The sea is close enough now to carry fish salt into your mouth and wool oil from a camp farther down, both mild and good. A man sleeps near a log with a cloak over his head. One hand shows, rough and open. A second figure sits with a cup and a piece of bread, but the cup stays still and the bread unbroken. You do not call to them. The hiss keeps you all in one room without names. You return to your bowl and eat the rest of your bread. Crust scratches the tongue and then softens. A fig gives a sweet that settles the salt. You drink from the skin to rinse the taste. Water from your jar is cooler than the pool and carries clay that feels right in the throat. You rub your palms together and smell oil and pine and sulfur in a simple braid. A swallow of air moves over the pool and makes the surface quiver in little rings. The hiss does not change, which comforts you more than you would have guessed. You take a strip of cloth and test the fit of the strap that holds the shield to your back. The strip slides smooth, then catches on a stitch. You work the catch free with a nail and smooth the seam until it lies like a quiet stream bed under finger. The spear point cover is dry. You wet it with a thumb and reseat it so the edge will not scratch. Your feet feel both the stone's warm patch and the cold patch through the sole in turn. A gull's shadow passes over the pool and leaves it unmarked. The hiss keeps the pool whole. You sit once more and let your eyes learn the shapes they will need. The broken rim where water boils white. The quiet lip where it clears. The safe stones. The slick stones. The shelf where a bowl can rest. The post where rope holds strong. The ledge where a cloak will dry. You do not hurry this lesson. You let it move in by touch and smell and wait. Oil on your fingers mixes with dust, and becomes a soft paste that you wipe on a scrap of cloth. The scrap will remember your hand later. The hiss has already remembered everything and tells it back in one long, low word. Light shifts down the cliff and warms the pass a little more. You rise, gather your things, and leave the camp as clean as the pine gave it to you. Sand is smooth where your cloak lay. You brush it once, and it looks as if nothing was there. The bowl returns to its stone lip, the lamp to its bag, the rope on the post to its quiet curve. You lift the shield, feel bronze cool your palm, and settle the strap across your shoulder with the old fold. The hiss walks with you to the edge of the pools. You pause at the last rim and hold your hand over the steam. Warmth rises like a good oven when bread is almost done. It carries the same promise of work becoming food, of care becoming use. Sulfur is less sharp now, more like a story that was strong at first, and now just hums at the end. Mist touches your cheek again and leaves a taste of clean stone. Water whispers around broken rock, the soft, steady hiss that marks this place as surely as any carving. You turn toward the narrow road and let that sound stay behind you. A thin silver line that keeps the hot gates alive in the ear while you go on. The hiss of the pools thins behind you as you move into the narrow ground, where rock and shore press close. Wind carries clean salt and a faint line of sulfur that fades to almost nothing. You lay your cloak on a flat slab and fold it twice for a knee pad. A rope marks the edge where the wall will go. Its fibers smell dry and honest. You lift a rough stone from a basket. It is cool and gritty, and the grit stays on your fingers as you carry it to the chalked line. When you set it down, pebble meets pebble with a hollow clack. A small sound that sits inside the pass like a steady heart. You brush sand from the line with the edge of your hand and feel the dust tickle your skin. Stone under your palm keeps an old warmth, stored from other days and given back in a gentle way. You lean and fit the first course, heavy shapes settled low and broad. Grain in the rock scratches your knuckles, a mild scrape that tells you the piece will not slide. Old smoke from campfires drifts along the wall, light and sweet, and the scent makes the air feel lived in and kind. Another stone finds the earth, hollow clack. The sound marks the place more clearly than chalk. You work by small tools that do not ask for words. A wicker basket rides your hip, tied by a short rope that leaves a neat line on your cloak. A short lever of wood waits to ease a stubborn stone into place. A bowl of water sits near your knee. Clay smells plain and clean. You fold a strip of cloth to shield your palm when a rough edge bites. Sand crunches a little under your weight and then settles. You lift, you carry, you set, and again the hollow clack answers you, low and true. You choose each piece by feel more than by sight. Wide base first, wedges next, caps ready. The wall rises to your knee and holds its shape the way bread holds the pattern of the basket where it cooled. Dust gathers in the lines of your fingers and turns pale when you wet it. You rub a smear of oil into a strap that began to squeak, and the leather quiets at once. The pass holds wind at your back and warmth at your face. Pebble meets pebble, hollow clack, patient and even. Others move at the edge of your seeing. Sandals brush stone with a dry hush, and then pass. A man clears his throat, soft and low, and goes on with his load. Far downshore, a boat rope answers its post with a slow rub, a sea word spoken only once. Closer by, a ladle spoon knocks a pot and falls still. You keep your hands on the wall, your eyes on the line, your ear tuned to the little room of sound you are making, the dry scrape of grit, the sigh of cloth on wood, the hollow clack that tells you when a stone has met its place. You taste salt on your lip and know it is from air and work together. Water from the bowl freshens your mouth. Clay adds a soft earth taste that pleases. You wipe your fingers on the inside hem of your cloak so dust will not steal the grip. A small bead of pitch from a pine chip warms between finger and thumb and leaves a faint sweet on the skin. You stand to stretch, and the wool at your shoulder gives one low rub. You lean again and lower two small wedges into a gap. Hollow clack. The space closes as if it had always wanted that pair. The sun clears a ridge and lays a pale gold along the raw edge of rock. You eat a heel of bread, dry and good, and a fig that softens the mouth with a kind sugar. Oil from the cloth wraps tastes together, so nothing argues. A jar under a shade tree holds water for later. You lift it once to know its weight and set it back. A traveling lamp sits near your gear, cold and silent in day, yet it carries the sweet line of old oil, light as a memory. Stone on stone, hollow clack, and the wall grows honest under your hands. You learn to read the next need by weight in the wrist. Big stone, then little lock, then a skin of sand brushed into seams. Your short lever of wood slides under a corner and lifts just enough. The grain of the wedge bites and holds. Dust rises and hangs and falls like a thin curtain you can see through. Old smoke from last night's fire reaches you again, warm and gentle, and you think of stew left to thicken while men told simple news. Another pebble settles with a hollow clack that is more felt than heard. A friendly nudge from work to worker. You pour a trickle from the bowl into a shallow pan of sand and stir with your fingers until the mix turns to clay. The cool paste smells like riverbank and steadies the raw edge. You press it into a thin seam with a strip of wood. The damp runs under your nails and leaves the skin clean where it touches. The wall shows a darker line where you smoothed it. That line will dry and pale. Behind you, someone laughs once, quiet and short, then returns to lifting. Stone answers stone, hollow clack, as if the pass itself were keeping time. Wind turns and brings steam from the springs in a soft wave. Sulfur touches the nose and leaves at once, pushed by sea air. Pine shade shifts and cools your neck. You brush grit from your knee cloth and fold it again to move the pad down the line. A lizard skitters across a sun patch and disappears between two stones with no sound at all. You place a capstone smooth side up and feel the even plane under your palm. A last small chip clicks into a tiny hollow. The hollow clack is so slight this time you must feel it through the hand to know it happened. You pause to look along the course you have made. The height is even, the face is plain, the back is firm. No stone rocks under the heel. The rope that marks the line hangs straight from peg to peg. Fibers rough and strong when you run thumb and finger down its twist. Dust lies across your knuckles like pale flour. You lick it away and taste stone, clean and old. A neighbor sets down a basket and lets out one slow sound of effort, then quiet. Your own basket is lighter now. You carry it for the sake of the carry, not for load. You return to the pile and choose pieces with patience. Not every stone is worth the lift today. You save the hard ones for another line. You roll one with your instep and guide it with your hand. The rock answers the ground with a dull, kind noise. A plank you set as a ramp holds under the weight and smells of sun-warmed wood. You slide the stone along and feel the thick grain through your palms. When it meets the course, it speaks its little word again. Hollow clack. You press and lean until the word goes quiet. The day ripens. Smoke from many small fires weaves into one high ribbon, thin as thread. Water skins grow lighter across backs and shoulders. Clay cup rims shine a little where lips have met them. You take a swallow and feel it move like a cool rope inside. Sand sticks to your wet fingers and leaves a grain on the stone you touch. You wipe the grain away with a cloth, and the surface turns true. The wall now reaches the top of your calf, and then your knee. Hollow clack follows hollow clack in a string of small answers. Someone drops a stick farther off. Wood meets rock and then rolls into grass. A man hums 3 low notes and stops. The sea throws one slow word at the bank and takes it back. You rub oil into a dry patch on your palm and blow on the shine to tame it. The scent is simple and ripe. A leather thong at your waist loosens. You tie it with the little twist you were shown as a child, and it holds. Stone to stone, hollow clack, and your shoulder lowers as if a weight left without moving. You bring the line through a small bend where the ground insists. The bend makes sense under the hand in a way the eye did not predict. You splice short lengths of rope to pull a stubborn block. The cords sing almost nothing, a bare string sound, and the knot you made holds square and quiet. When the block at last kisses its neighbors, the hollow clack feels deep, like 2 bowls touching in a cool room. You smooth the seam with wet clay and sand. The pass smells of salt and ash and a little pine, a mild mix that sits well in the head. You stop to eat and to rest your knees. Bread and cheese turn the mouth kind again. A fig ends the meal with soft sugar. You close your eyes for the count of a hand and let the wall hold still without you. The ground gives your hips a small protest, and then acceptance. When you stand, the body feels longer, not stronger, but more willing. You lift another stone, and the skin in your palm knows exactly where to put it. Hollow clack. The day deepens without change. Late light picks out the rims of every rock you touched. The wall is knee-high now. It holds the shape of your patience. You rake the loose grit from both faces and fill the little hollows with sand, the way a mother might smooth a child's hair before sleep. The rope line comes off the pegs. You coil it and hang it on a stub of wood. It smells of sun and work. A man to your right mutters a single word to himself and smiles without showing it. Pebble to pebble, one more hollow clack, and your hands slow. You sit on your folded cloak and look along the narrow ground. The low wall lies like a calm sentence written across stone. Smoke threads thin and long over the pass. Water from the bowl leaves a ring on the slab that dries as you watch. Your fingers are white with dust. You brush them on the cloth, and the cloth takes the dust gladly. From the shore, a boat rope answers its post with one last slow rub. Near your knee, a tiny chip slips and gives the faintest hollow clack, small as a secret. And then there is nothing but the feel of grit on your skin and the sweet line of old smoke in the air. Evening settles along the narrow pass as the low wall holds its new line, and you ease yourself down on a folded cloak. Stone keeps a little warmth where the sun touched it, but the shadow is cool at your back. You set the shield rim to your knee, gentle and sure, and feel bronze meet bone with a kind weight. A small bowl stands by your foot, oil gold and quiet. Old smoke from campfires drifts light and sweet across the ground. When you lift the cloth and lay it to leather, cloth slides over leather in a slow swish, your evening motif. You pour a finger of oil into your palm and rub it into a strap made stiff by dust. The smell is warm and simple, like fruit kept near a hearth. Leather under your hands grows dark and flexible, The grain wakes and shows small lines like rivers after rain. You run the cloth along the edge where it meets the buckle, patient and close, and listen to the tiny rasp ease into silence. The swish returns as the cloth moves again, soft and steady, never sharp. Wind lifts the edge of your cloak and drops it without fuss. Bread waits in a folded square of cloth. You break it and taste plain flour and a hint of wood smoke from the oven it knew. Olives give a soft salt that brightens the mouth and settles the body. A clay cup near your heel holds water cool from a shaded jar. The rim tastes of earth and clear stone. You lean the spear where you can reach it, ash wood calm under a wrap of linen. From the shore, a boat rope answers its post with one slow rub and rests. A far-off line that agrees with your slow swish here beside the fire. You check the shoulder piece that will ride under the shield strap. Stitches hold, but one place lifts rough against the skin. You warm oil between thumb and finger and work it in until the cloth settles smooth. A thin awl of bone lies on the cloth. You guide a hole a hair wider and pull thread through with even hands. Thread whispers across the leather and quiets. When you finish the knot and press it flat, the strap looks like it always belonged that way. The cloth passes once more, and that familiar swish returns, easy as a sigh you do not hear, only feel. You turn the shield and wipe the inner ring where sweat salt had dried to a film. Bronze smells faint and clean, not bright, not harsh. The boss shows a small, dull glow where the low fire touches it. You rest the rim to your knee again to test the length from elbow to hand. It fits with no argument, weight in a line your bones understand. Pine smoke threads your nose and stays kind. Cloth moves along the curve. Swish, and the face is ready to sleep. Sand has found your sandals and made small stones of itself under the thong. You unlace and brush the grit away, using a strip of cloth dampened with water. Skin cools as the wet passes. The leather softens under your thumb. You rub a faint salve where the strap bites near the ankle, and the smell turns green and sharp for a breath, and then goes. When you lace again, the knot sits low and flat. The cloth moves one last time across the strap with that quiet swish, and the foot forgets the thong. You lift the spear and lay it across your thighs, feeling the straight grain press a mild pattern into your palms. Resin at the butt smells sweet where it sealed a crack last season. The linen wind at the grip is firm but kind. You test it with a slow roll of the hand. A loose thread shows, and you tuck it back with a small twist. Linen rubs linen and makes almost no sound. The cloth you used for oil passes over your fingers to take the resin sheen away. The swish is softer here, but it holds its tone. Around you, camp life sits at the edge of your ear and never crowds. Someone coughs behind a low wall and then is quiet. A dog turns twice on cloth and finds a circle to suit its day. Under a plank near the fire pit, a rat makes one light scratch and moves on. Farther down the pass, a ladle finds the rim of an iron pot and lands with a dull kiss. Steam carries onion and bone, a sweet, thin promise in the air. The ground takes these small sounds and folds them under the slow swish of your cloth on leather. You eat again, only a little. Bread, a thumb of cheese, 2 olives from the bowl. Cheese is sharp and clean. It wakes the mouth and then lies down. You bite a fig and feel soft seeds crack once. Sugar comes and stays small, not loud. You drink and let water cool the back of your throat. Clay taste first, then nothing. The fire near you speaks in low grain, a soft crumble of wood into ember. When you wipe your hands, cloth on palm makes that same steady swish. and the day gathers itself as if it understood. A strap on your bag shows a thin tear where the edge wore on stone during the wall work. You fold the lip and stitch it with thick thread, knot close to knot. The needle's point pricks leather with no complaint. You guide it with a hard pinch and a firm pull. Your thumb bears a small dent where the back of the needle rests. You smooth the seam and test it with 2 fingers. Cloth across the finished edge gives a final slow swish, and the bag sits ready for another carrying. You mark a small note on a scrap of wood with a dull knife, not a number, only a sign you will know in the morning. Cedar dust lands soft along your wrist and smells like dry honey. You brush it into your palm and toss it toward the fire. It wakes a moment of sweet, and then is gone. A line of ants shifts near your heel and finds a new path around the base of your bowl. The sound of the sea moves up the pass in one long, low shush that holds steady and then rests. Cloth slides over leather, swish, and you feel the order of the hour settle around your tools. You set the lamp near your knee and trim the wick with a flat nail. The lamp is not needed. Night is not yet heavy here. Still, you keep it ready. Oil in the cup holds a quiet shine. It smells like the strap you just fed, warm and simple. You wrap the lamp in a cloth for carrying, corners folded to keep dust out. The cloth's weight over the clay makes the same soft swish your hands have followed all evening, a small music that turns tasks into ritual. You wash your fingers in a shallow bowl and pour the gray water onto sand so mud will not hold. Grit leaves your nails and stays in the sand where it belongs. The bowl in your hands feels cool and honest. Its rim has a tiny chip that your thumb now knows how to avoid. You dry your hands on the inside of the cloak so the outside will keep its clean face for the road. Cloth over wool answers with a deeper swish, slower, calmer. The day begins to fold itself square. You gather each piece where it will sleep, spear along the cloak's edge, shield rim against your knee for one last check, bag behind your back, water skin near your hand. You look over the straps you oiled and find them dark and quiet. Leather no longer asks for voice. The fire sinks to red, smoke thins into a pale thread and lies along the pass. From the shore comes that single low rub of rope against post, like a friend calling once from far off and then letting you rest. Cloth slides over leather in a final slow swish as you cover the strap. The sound stays in the ear while your shield rim holds its gentle weight and the warm, simple smell of oil softens the night. Evening work leaves a soft order behind you, and the pass holds that order as the light thins. The low wall lies steady. The fire lowers to red. You spread a cloth on flat stone and set the shield there, face to sky, bronze cool as water drawn at dawn. A bowl of sand waits by your knee. A second bowl holds clear water that smells of clean clay. Oil sits in a small lamp you will not light yet. Old smoke drifts light and sweet. You rest your palm on the rim, and the metal tells your skin it is time to begin. You hold the shield steady and circle the cloth, slow and round, light catching along the curve like a quiet fish in shallow water. Metal smells faint and clean. The cool under your hand rises to warm as work and warmth find each other. You rinse the cloth in the water bowl, squeeze it, and sweep again in patient rings. Grit in the sand makes a low whisper under the weave. The edge meets a small pebble you missed. There is one clear ring, then hush. That brief ring, then hush, anchors the work and the mind together. You move in halves and quarters so the circle will stay true. The boss gets its turn. You lean and draw little suns around its shallow crown. Bronze shows a soft shine where the cloth has passed, not bright, only even. You fold the cloth once more and add a little sand. The grains kiss the face, and the sound is small, like salt sifted between fingers. A swallow of water cools your throat with clay and river. When the edge finds that pebble again, the ring is thinner now, then hush again. You lift the stone chip with a nail and set it aside where it can trouble nothing. Dust settles in the lines of your fingers. You rinse and feel the day fall away from the skin. A neighbor clears his throat beyond the wall and lets the air go quiet again. Under a plank near the fire pit, a rat makes one dry scratch and forgets you. Far off, a boat rope answers its post with a slow rub that slips into the sea's long shush. You return to the rim and work the narrow lip that runs the circle, cloth turning, wrist easy. The cloth drinks a little oil from the lamp pin. The line it leaves is thin and kind. The brief ring does not come, only hush, wide and calm. You turn the shield and work the inner face where leather meets bronze. Sweat salt had made a pale film there. It yields to water and cloth without argument. You brush sand into a paste and press it along the seam. The paste smells like wet earth after a light rain. Your fingers learn the old dents and keep them because they tell true stories and do not hurt the hand. Bronze warms again under the pass of your palm. A gull cries once, and the sound folds into rock. When you set the rim down to rest your wrist, it kisses one grain of grit, and you hear it. Ring, then hush. The cloth moves again, and the grain is gone. Bread waits in a fold of cloth. You bite and taste plain flour and a little smoke, the kind that feels like home, even on a road. An olive brings soft salt and a shine on the tongue. You drink water, and the taste of clay lifts the salt and sets it down gently. Your shoulders lower, and the strap you oiled last night sits smooth where it meets wool. The lamp, still dark, gives a thin thread of warm fruit to the air. You slide the cloth over the grip band to wipe a faint stain. The linen rasps, then smooths. You listen for the ring. There is none. Only hush and the small whisper of cloth. You polish the boss to finish, circling smaller now. The pressure even, the motion slow. Light settles on the curve and stays as if it had found a bowl made for it. You lift the shield and let the last wash of day move across its face. The bronze does not shout. It answers softly like water under shade. You feel the weight in your forearm and test the strap holes with 2 careful pulls. Leather holds. Cloth runs the rim once more, a farewell pass. The edge does not find any pebble now. It rests. Hush fills the space where the ring had lived, and the hush feels right. Night begins to lean in. A man by the fire moves a log. Wood meets wood with a low sound, and then turns to ember. Onion and bone rise from a pot. The scent is mild and round. You set the shield against your knee and smooth the last finger marks from the face with the clean side of the cloth. Your hands smell of oil and metal and a little pine smoke. The mix sits well in the head. You fold the polishing cloth into a square and tuck it into the bag's side pocket so grit will not travel. The boat rope far off offers one more slow rub and is still. The ring does not return. Hush settles deeper. You turn the shield over and lay felt between bronze and stone, so night damp will not mark it. The felt is soft and dry. You loosen your sandals and brush away a grain of sand that had lodged near the thong. Skin thanks you with a quiet ease. The water bowl shows a small swirl where the cloth had washed the sand away. You pour it into the margin and watch it sink into dust. You You draw the cloak closer, and the fabric slips along leather with a slow, familiar sound. You hold the shield a last moment and feel the work you did living under the skin. You look along the pass, low wall, banked fire, spears set in a patient row, bowls turned mouth down on a plank, rope coiled where it will not snag a foot in dark. The sea gives its long word to stone and takes it back. The sky over the ridge keeps a thin color like watered wine. You lift the shield and settle it beside you, rim touching knee with its gentle weight. In the quiet, the memory of the edge finding the pebble returns once more. Ring, then hush, and the hush stays, wide as the pass, soft as clean cloth laid over good work. The hush after bronze work still lies over the pass, and the last gold on the ridge thins to gray. You set the polished shield aside on felt and draw the spear across your knees. Ashwood fills your hands with quiet weight. The ground is cool under your folded cloak. Stone holds a little warmth where the fire touched it. Smoke from low embers drifts light and sweet. The sea's long shush reaches the cliff and slides away again, soft as cloth on wood. You place tools in a small order you trust. A strip of linen sits coiled like a white snake. A bowl holds clean water, cool and clear with clay. A second bowl holds fine sand, pale as flour. Your knife is dull by design, safe for shaving small roughness. You lean and find a raised grain near the grip. Wood grain presses its fine lines into your fingers as you smooth it, and a hint of resin wakes and rises, sweet in the nose. You mix a little sand with water and make a soft paste. It smells like riverbank and dries your fingertips as you rub it along the trouble spot. The ash wood changes under the slow work, from faint rasp to silk, from cool to warm. You wipe the paste away with a piece of cloth and let the damp show where you have been. Far down the lane, a cart moves and a rope rubs the yoke in one low thread. The sound drifts in and is gone. You hold the iron socket and wipe its mouth with oil so it will not drink the wood. Oil smells simple and kind. The iron tastes faintly of old water when your lip brushes the edge by mistake. You smile without showing it to anyone. You slide the socket down, lift it, and slide again to feel the fit learn the shaft. The joint settles with a small promise that is not loud. A neighbor coughs behind a wall and then lies quiet. You smooth a small roughness on the ash wood and wind a linen band near the grip. The first turns lie flat. Your fingers guide each edge to kiss the last. Linen rubs linen, a dry whisper that pleases the ear. You bend, pass, and pull, patient and slow, the way breadcloth wraps a loaf. The knot draws tight with a tiny cord creak, an easy, honest sound. The sound holds for a breath of thought and then rests. You test the place with your hand. The band meets your palm where the throw will start and where the hold will end. Warmth has found the ash now. The grain gives back a living heat. You lean the spear upright and sight along it toward the narrow road. Pine on the far slope makes a dark seam under the sky. The sea adds its long word to stone and takes it back. A dog turns once on cloth near another fire, and the faint swish of wool settles the ear. A thin shaving of wood lifts from the spot where your thumb will sit. The knife works under its own small weight. The curl falls to your knee and clings there. You wet a finger and smooth the notch so the thumb will feel a home and not a step. Resin hints sweet where your nail warms the grain. You fold a strip of linen and glue it with resin to make a little collar above the grip, a guard against hard hands. When you tie the ends, the knot gives that tiny cord creak again, honest and soft. You turn the shaft and see the iron shoe at the back end. It needs care, too. You clean the mouth with a twist of cloth and a few grains of sand. Iron smells like cold rain and earth. You warm the socket with your palm and push it firm. It accepts the press. A short thong keeps the shoe from wandering. The thong answers your pull with a small cord creak, then grows quiet, ready to do its modest duty. You lay the spear on a plank and roll it to read its truth. Wood touches wood with a low, hollow sound, even and calm. The roll shows straight. The roll shows sure. You settle a thin rope sling at the balance point, so carrying will not spin the shoulder. Rope slides along rope with a hushed rasp. When the knot settles, there it is again, the tiny cord creak, clear as a grain of salt on the tongue, then peace. You break bread and eat, slow and modest. The crust is dry and good. It holds the day inside it. Olives give soft salt. Oil from the bowl shines your fingers. You drink from a clay cup and taste cool stone and clean clay. A rat under a plank makes one shy scratch and leaves you alone. Smoke from a neighbor's lamp sweetens the air without force. You wipe your hands on the inside of your cloak so the grip will stay dry. Back to the shaft. You brush away dust with a clean cloth. The cloth smells faintly of soap and sun. You rub a thin film of oil along the length and then take most of it off, leaving only kindness for the grain. The ash shows a soft glow now, not proud, just well kept. You press the linen band again to be sure it holds. The knot answers with a tiny cord creak and then becomes the same quiet as your hands. You check the join where socket meets shaft. The wedge inside needs a half turn. You ease it with your dull knife until wood and iron feel like they sit in one chair. Your palm tests the seam. It reads smooth and true. The bowls by your knee show rings where water sank away. You pour the last sip into your mouth and taste clay and a little salt from your work. Far off, a boat rope answers its post with a slow rub, then silence. You fix the carry rope so it will not chatter on the march. A small knot gathers the spare like a tidy thought. You pull it once to listen. The tiny cord creak arrives, as faithful as a friend who speaks little and always right. Wool at your shoulder slides under leather with a dry slide. The strap you oiled the night before does its part without voice. Above the pools, steam lifts in a thin veil and dissolves. The pass holds all this without strain. You set the spear across your knees once more and close your eyes to learn its weight with the inside hand. You roll it in your grip so the palm maps linen, wood, linen, iron, back to wood. The grain prints its fine crosshatch into your skin and fades. The smell around you is resin, smoke, and salt air, mild and whole. A man moves a bowl. Clay meets stone with a dull kiss. Your knot stays silent now, which is its praise. You tie a small tag of cloth below the band, a marker for dark hours when hands must find their place by touch alone. The cloth is soft. You pull it neat. That tiny cord creak comes one last time, a thread of sound, then hush. You rest the spear along the low wall and smooth your cloak where dust clung. The wall gives back its stored day to your shoulder. The sea lays another quiet on the stones. You gather tools into a bag and fold the cloths. Sand from your fingers falls in a small white rain and disappears. The knife goes to its sleeve. The bowls lie mouth down. You coil the carry rope in a flat round and place it where mourning hands will thank you. Smoke thins to a pale line and carries onion from a distant pot. A goat outside the gate noses hay and lets it go, soft and slow. You lift the spear for a last look. The linen band lies even. The thumb notch is smooth. The shoe sits tight. The rope sling waits in the right place. The ash shows the quiet glow that simple care brings. When you shift your hold, the knot gives a tiny cord creak and then falls still, a little seal on the hour. Night leans in and makes a room of rock and sea and work. You set the spear beside the shield and feel the two agree. Wood, linen, iron, bronze, all of them ready, none of them loud. You sit back on the folded cloak and taste the olive salt again, as if the tongue wanted to keep the day. The pass keeps its calm word with the shore. The knot's small memory, that easy, honest creak, rests in your ear and fades into the grain under your fingers. The hush from your last small task still hangs in the pass, and night draws a plain room from stone and sea. You take the watch and lean on the low wall you stacked in the light. Steam lifts from the springs and thins into the dark. Stars tremble in that veil, as if seen through clean cloth. Rock feels cold through the sandal, a clear, steady truth. Salt rides the wind and sits mild on your tongue. The far sea answers stone with a low shush, long and even, and that sound settles near your ribs like a slow hand. You ease the shield against the wall and let the rim find its quiet. Linen ties on the spear rest where your palm can find them without thought. Wood grain gives a soft drag when you shift your grip, a small comfort in the cool. Your cloak lies close at the neck, wool holding a dry smoke that came from the cook fire and stayed. The air beside the springs holds sulfur, sharp at first, then kind when wind moves it thin. The sea keeps that low shush, and the line of it smooths the rough of the day inside you. You set simple things where they belong. A rope runs across a narrow to mark the edge no foot should test. Its twist is rough, honest under the hand. A lamp sits hooded near your knee, wick trimmed, oil ready, yet quiet. A clay bowl holds clear water with a faint clay taste that feels clean. A small cloth waits folded on your belt to wipe dew from a stone when dew chooses it. Sand under your heel shifts and then settles as if it knew the shape of your weight. The sea gives you another long shush and remembers the hour for you. You watch the narrow. Rock to left, sea to right, steam ahead, stars above. The wall under your forearm is cool and dry. Its rough tells your skin the line you made is still even. The spear stands against a peg of wood. Resin from the butt leaves a sweet thread in the nose. A man under a cloak near the low fire turns once and then lies still. Farther down, someone coughs into the night and brings quiet back at once. The sea answers the stone again, that same long shush, and you let it fill the space where worry would try to live. You eat a little so the body will keep the watch without asking. Bread tastes plain and good, flour and a memory of the oven. An olive brings soft salt and shine. You drink from the bowl and feel the cool move down. Clay first, then water, then nothing. You run the cloth along the shield strap and take a grain of grit that's scraped. Leather eases. The sound it makes is a whisper and then silence. The sea lays its shush along the wall again, and time becomes a smooth rope you can hold with 2 fingers. The hot pools send thin breath into the sky, and the stars seem to twitch inside it, but only because the steam bends light. You do not name them, you only keep them company. A night bird crosses and is gone. A rat under a plank near the stores makes one dry scratch and forgets you. Far out, a boat rope answers its post with a low rub, and the sea folds that rub into its long word as if it were part of the same sentence. You rest your chin on your forearm and feel the stone cool your jaw. The sea's shush keeps the line. You move once along the wall and back, slow and simple, so the legs remember work, but do not burn the strength you will need later. Sand makes a faint powder on the edge of your sandal. You brush it away, and the skin thanks you by loosening. Wool slides over leather with a short, dry sound. You lean again and let the shield edge touch your hip, so the weight will not argue with the arm. Salt sits at the corner of your mouth. You touch it with your tongue, and it tells you the wind still comes from the water. The sea gives its shush again, long, even, patient. You take the cloth and wipe dew from a flat stone that someone will need to cross before dawn. The cloth smells of yesterday's soap. The stone gives no thanks, but it dries and loses its shine, which is thanks in its own way. You set a wood wedge under a loose plank so it will not complain when weight finds it in the dark. The wedge smells of pine and a little pitch. Your fingers keep a trace of that sweet. A goat outside the farther gate noses hay and lets it go, soft and small. The sea writes its low shush along the cliff and does not change. You check the rope line across the narrow. The knot holds square. The twist reads smooth. You pull once to listen. The rope answers with almost nothing, only a dry breath like dust moved by a quiet hand. You coil the slack on a peg so no foot will catch. The lamp stays cold, but you lay a thumb to the brass and know it would wake if asked. You lift the bowl and sip. Water tastes of clay again and cleans the small salt that had gathered. The sea unrolls another long shush, and your shoulders settle without command. Middle hours come and pass. Smoke from banked fire holds close and sweet. Onion and bone linger in the air, and that mild promise eases the stomach without filling it. A comrade shifts under his cloak and lets a slow air out through his nose. A dog turns somewhere near the carts and makes one wool sound as it circles down. The stars hold, then wander as the steam ribbon thickens, then thins. Your hands feel the spear and find the linen band warm from your skin. The sea sings its shush again, and the sound fills up the space where counting would try to take over. You stand at the corner where the pass narrows to 3 men. You place your palm on the wall and learn the stone one more time. Cool, grainy, honest, without trick. Your thumb traces a nick you remember from the build. It fits the thumb as if cut for it. Salt sits now on your lips, not harsh, only there. You taste it, and it places you between cliff and water without need of sight. The sea's long shush travels the length of the narrow and returns to you along the wall. Damp gathers on the rim of your bowl. You wipe it with the cloth and set the bowl mouth down so it will not draw grit. The shield rim gleams where you polished it, but the bronze does not shout. It keeps a low glow that belongs to work, not show. You tuck the spear into the crook of your arm and rest the point on wood so stone will not nick it. Resin from the butt warms and sends a tiny sweetness up to you, and that sweetness carries a small memory of groves by the road. The sea says shush, and the memory folds away like a neat coil of rope. You listen for what does not belong. There is only the sea, the springs, the small noises of cloth and wood and animal. A pot settles and clicks once and rests. A man at the far end clears his throat and is done. No iron speaks, no many feet. Your body holds its quiet because the place holds it first. You lean into the wall, and stone gives you back your shape without taking anything from you. The sea lays its shush along your spine like a long palm. Time turns, but you do not have to chase it. You eat the last piece of bread and let the dry crumbs soften on your tongue. You take a small olive to follow and let its oil smooth the mouth. Water after that is clean as linen. You rub the cloth once along the shield strap again and find no grit now, only the smoothness you made earlier. Wool at the neck warms with your own heat, and the cool air around it feels kinder for the contrast. The sea gives its long shush again, and the hour takes that shape and holds it. Later, a faint light touches the ridge before dawn is ready, only a hint, like ash that might hold one coal. The steam shows it first, then loses it. The sky waits. You stretch your hand once, then tuck it back into the cloak. Stone is still cold through the sandal. That truth has not shifted. Salt still rides the wind, and the wind keeps its slow hand on your face. The sea answers the stone again, long and even, and the sound lays a firm plank across the last dark stretch. You look along the line of spears set to rest and think of the hands that will lift them. Wood, linen, iron, bronze, rope, cloth. Simple things, all of them ready. You adjust the carry sling across your shoulder so it will not chatter when you move. The knot you made earlier stays square. You put the bowl back on the plank and cover it with the folded cloth so dew will not find it. The sea's shush holds steady and keeps count for you without numbers. At the end of your watch, you do not call. You let the slow work of morning do that. You stand a little taller and feel the calm you have kept settle deeper. The wall under your hand is the same wall. The stars thin where steam still lives and hold where the air is clean. You place the spear against wood and leave the point wrapped. You cover the shield with felt so the face will keep its softness. The sea lays its lasting shush across stone once more, long and even, and that low line stays with you as you turn. The hour held quiet inside your chest. Dawn slides into the narrow way you kept through the night, thin and pale at first, then steady along the stone. Steam thins to strands, and stars withdraw behind it. You ease the cloak from your shoulders and roll it tight. Leather is cool under your fingers. Wool smells of smoke and salt air. You lift the round face from felt, and bronze sends a quiet chill into your palm. The low wall keeps its calm line. Far off, the sea lays one long shush along the shore and leaves you room to form. You wet a cloth in a small bowl and pass it under the rim to wake the strap. Water carries clay to your skin and sets a clean taste on your tongue. Dust rises where you fold the cloth and settles again, as if the pass were taking a slow sip and setting the cup down. Sun finds the boss and turns it soft gold, not bright, only warm. Linen at the spear grip shows dry and sure. The knot you tied last night sits low and square. You raise the round face and feel its push against your forearm. The rim meets a neighbor rim. A quiet rim rub, slow and close, keeps the row true. You ease your feet into the ruts left by older work. Sand remembers the weight and gives a little, then locks. Stone through the sandal feels cold and honest. Your shoulder answers the strap and learns the weight again without complaint. A man to your left shifts his board, cloth rubbing leather with a hush. To your right, someone clears the nose and lets silence return. Dust tastes dry again. The line slides a little and settles, as if the pass drew us straight from one heart to the next. You lift the spear and guide the ash shaft under the curve of the rim. Wood grain presses its fine lines into your fingers. Resin hints sweet in the nose. The shoe at the back finds a shallow hole you scraped in the dirt, and the long weight steadies. Sun warms your forearm where bronze touches leather. Your palm reads the linen band like a small map. The sea gives its slow word to stone again. Wind brings salt along the edge of your lip. A quiet rim rub low on the row tells you the set is even. You lean and learn the neighbor's rim with your own. Not hard, not soft, only firm enough to make one piece of many. Your wrist angles and the round faces overlap like roof tiles set by calm hands. The boss rests just inside the next circle. You feel leather slide against wool and then hold. The low wall at your knees presses grit through cloth. The grit marks the moment without sting. Sun rises another hand. The rim rub returns, slow and close. A hand's width sound that takes the place of numbers. You test the stance that keeps a long hour kind. Heel firm, front foot ready, knees willing. Your back learns a quiet line that does not ask your shoulders to carry more than they must. The spear tip waits in the shadow of the shields, iron cool, unseen by the sun. You shift a thumb in the notch you carved, and the notch fits you like an old bowl fits the hand. Behind you, a dog turns on a blanket and circles down. The wool hush reaches you and ends. The rim rub slips along the row once more, a small thread tying one body to the next. You think of bread and olives and water set in clay, the plain food that held your night steady. Your mouth keeps a trace of oil, mild and good. Smoke from a banked fire rides low and sweet. A rat under a plank near the carts makes one dry line of sound and moves on. A cart farther back gives a single rope creak and then rests. The line answers nothing. It only holds. Sun warms the board. Dust on the shield face keeps close, turning the gold to a softer brown. The rim rub comes again, like cloth folded and smoothed flat. You check the strap at the elbow. Leather carries the oil you gave it. It does not bite. You tighten the short thong that keeps the strap from sliding and feel the knot draw down with a small cord creak. The sound pleases because it means the day will not spend you foolishly. Your breath finds a deep, slow measure that belongs to work, not hurry. You lean into the round face and take its push as a friend. Neighbor rim finds your rim once more. The quiet rub says, stay. You let the eyes go loose and wide so they hold the whole narrow way. Cliff shade, wall line, shield edge, spear wood, pool steam, far water. Light touches the ridge and breaks into small coins on the stone path. A gull writes one pale arc and vanishes. Your skin tastes salt when the wind turns. Your tongue tells you you are still beside the sea. Simple truth sits well in the chest. The rim rub moves like a low whetstone down the row and dies gentle at the end. Time slows into long moments that carry no count. Hands keep their places. Feet learn to wait. Cloth warms under bronze. Wood grows a little alive from the heat of fingers. Your neck knows the weight of the rim and no longer notices. The spear shoe in the dirt draws a tiny circle as the arm eases, then holds. Behind, someone sips from a clay cup. The rim makes a dull kiss and releases. Up the pass, a goat noses grain and gives a small, patient sound. The rim rub answers your heel and assures you the row is true. You lower the spear to rest for a breath and feel ash wood lie along linen without shifting. The shoe makes no scrape. The hole you made is the right depth. You lift again and settle the shaft under the curve. Iron stays in shade, cool and quiet. Your forearm feels the shield's demand and returns it with care. The strap crosses your back in a clean path, no twist, no pull. Dust drifts and lays itself on every shoulder, sharing the same pale coat. The rim rub travels slowly, close as two palms meeting. You think of the wall you stacked, knee-high and patient. It holds the small earth at your feet. The low stones smell of sun and old river. Your toes feel the cool line where shade still rests. The sea keeps its shush, long and even, A lamp in the shade gives a faint thread of oil to the pass, though no flame shows. It is ready if needed. The line slides a little and settles, everyone obeying the weight you share. Rim meets rim and speaks one calm word you do not need to say. A gull feather crosses the ground and stops by your sandal. You let it be. A lizard tests the warm edge of a rock and vanishes into a crack. The world near your hand is small and exact. Rope knot square, thong end short, cloth edge folded, strap smooth. The shield face holds last night's polish under the dust, a quiet shine waiting for water. You taste dry grain in the air from fields behind the slope. The rim rub, slow and close, moves again like a soft file drawn once along wood. Your thoughts spread the way, light spreads on bronze. Not far, only as far as the row and the shore in a bowl of water. You keep to the simple. Weight here, hand there, eyes soft, feet kind, air in, air out, no more. Sun warms your cheek, stone sends cool up through the sandal and balances it. Your tongue finds salt again and leaves it alone. The sea's low shush reaches the narrow and turns back the same. Rim meets rim. The quiet rub smooths the last small shifting in the shoulders. You lean, you watch, you wait, you hold. Leather stays quiet. Wool does not rasp. Wood does not chatter. The spear sits in its small shadow like a thought you do not need to shape. Dust touches the lip. You taste it and accept it. Sun climbs and lowers the edge of chill from the shield. A cart rope far behind answers its yoke with one round rub and stops. The line hears it and does not change. The rim rub, slow and close, stays at a whisper. When the hour turns, you feel it first in the shoulder and then in the heel. The body shifts a grain and finds the same place again. You raise the round face a finger more and let it press. Neighbor rim hears you and answers with its small kiss at the edge. The row becomes one long curve of bronze, wood, and cloth, quiet as a sleeping ox. Dust lifts and settles in the same light. The sea sends one low shush across stone. You keep the sound, keep the stance, keep the calm. The quiet rim rub lingers under the gold and under the dust and under your hand, a thin line of order that fades only when the sun says rest. Midday moves in after the long hold, and the pass loosens its shoulders. You ease the round shield down onto a cloth spread on stone and feel the arm grow light. The low wall warms your back, while pine shade falls in wide bands across the ground. Heat leaves the shield face slowly, like water leaving a bowl. You carry your small pack into the green edge where carts have paused. A wooden bowl rides in your hand. When it kisses a flat stone as you kneel, it gives one light clink, a small bell for a simple meal. Under the pines the air smells green and cool. Resin hides in the bark and wakes when sun warms it. You set out a string of dried figs and trade them for a thumb of cheese and a little loaf. A man with smoke on his cloak lifts a jar so you can fill your bowl. Water slides in clear and silent, and clay scent rises as if the bowl had just left a stream. The ground is soft with needles, and the shade feels kind on skin the shield had pressed. You lower the bowl again to settle your things, and it gives a neat clink against stone, bright and small, then quiet. Fig sugar touches your tongue first. It is thick and round, seed against tooth, sun held tight inside fruit. Cheese follows and brightens the mouth with sharp milk, clean and quick. Bread is plain and good, crust rough as sanded wood, crumb firm and honest. You drink, and the water cools your tongue. Clay at the rim, and a little iron from the spring. Smoke from a near brazier sends a sweet thread through the pines. Far off, the sea answers the cliff with a slow shush, even as always. Your bowl rests near your knee. When a pebble shifts under its edge, it gives that small clink again, a soft mark on the hour. You settle your things in a tidy ring. Shield rim to the cloak's edge. Spear along the needles, linen band dry and sure. Knife in its sleeve. Rope coil under the pack. Thong ends tied short so they will not catch. Dust from the road still sits on your calves. You brush it off with your palm and the skin feels new. A goat noses the low grass near a cart and lets a low sound fall. From the lane a neighbor coughs once, then the pass holds still. You lean back to the warm wall and let the pine shade lie over your eyes. The bowl shifts as you move and gives a light clink that fades into resin scent. You cut the cheese with the knife's blunt edge and lay the thin pieces on bread. Oil from a little lamp skin dots the crumbs and softens them. The taste is simple and right. Salt, milk, flour, a line of smoke. You fold a fig with a strip of cheese inside, and the sweet meets the sharp without fight. Water clears the mouth after, nothing more than cool and clean. You place the bowl on a round stone so it will sit flat. Wood on stone answers with a single clink, and the sound hangs under the pine shade like a small ring from a far temple. You look around and see hands doing the same work without hurry. A strap drawn tight and tied, a heel rubbed with a cloth dipped once in water, a coin traded for a scrap of meat. Bronze meets bronze with a soft kiss that does not call attention. Fish salt comes up the pass from a basket wrapped in wet cloth. A boat rope far off gives one slow rub against its post and then settles. The pines hold the clean smell of needles and the old honey of sap. A dog turns in the dust and lowers its head on its paws. Your bowl sits where you placed it. No clink now. Only quiet wood touching quiet stone. You take sand from a small leather pouch and clean the inside of your palm where resin had stuck earlier. Sand is dry and fine. It whispers across skin and then brushes away. You oil the shield strap once more, only a finger's worth, and work it in until leather shines low and dark. Cloth slides over leather with a slow swish you know by heart. You rinse your knife in a finger of water, wipe it on a fold of cloth, and set it to dry. When you add one more swallow to the bowl, the wood rings a light clink at the stone lip, polite and brief, then lets the sound go. You watch ants work at a fig seed that fell. They carry it grain by grain and do not mind the world above. A lizard lies flat on the sun side of a root and keeps still. Needles stir once when a coastal wind moves through, and shade shifts one hand width along your knee. The sea gives its soft shush again and lays it under the trees as if it meant to feed the earth. You break the last of the bread into 2 pieces and tuck one in cloth for later. The bowl's rim cools in the shade. When you lift it to drink, wood feels smooth and worn, a tool that has learned you. When you set it down, the sole of the bowl meets stone with that same small clink. Your easy signal that all is well where it rests. You tidy the place where you sat. Crumbs brushed into the needles so they will not draw flies. Figs wrapped tight and tied with a short rope. Cheese wrapped in damp cloth and laid in shade. You rinse the bowl and toss the rinse onto the dusty path. The dust drinks it and darkens, then dries in a moment. Clay lip to cloth. You dry the bowl in slow circles until the grain shows again, faint and good. Farther off, someone shifts a pot and lets it meet stone in a low sound. A man clears his throat, and the pass swallows the noise. Your own bowl answers with one more light clink as you stack it on your pack, a small bell closing the meal. You rise and settle the shield strap along the shoulder it prefers. The rim touches your hip with a gentle weight, like a hand that means to steady and not to hold. You loop the carry rope through the pack handle and knot it square. Spear ash slides into your palm, warm now from the sun on the short rest. The lane shows a faint powder where feet have passed, and the dust lifts and lands without claim. Pine shade gives up a little ground to the day, yet the green smell stays. Behind you, the wooden bowl rides against cloth. It gives no sound as you walk. Then, at the bend where stone meets root, it brushes the pack frame and gives one last light clink, a small bell that lingers while you return toward the wall. Simple food done, simple tools ready. The past still and kind. The meal under the pines leaves a kind warmth in your chest, and the past takes you back with its steady ground. You carry a small scrap of wood and your knife to the lee of the low wall. The wall stores sun and gives a little of it to your shoulder through the cloak. Resin hangs in the air, green and sweet, and smoke from a lazy lamp somewhere low carries a soft fruit smell. You set a folded cloth on clean stone and lay the board there. A wooden bowl of clear water sits by your knee. When you settle the bowl, it gives a light kiss on rock and holds still. The board is cedar cut from a broken box side, light and straight, no larger than your hand. Its face is smooth where sand once worked it, and a faint line of red lies along one edge. You hold it steady with 2 fingers and keep the knife tip close and small. You score neat cuts, just enough to remember days and turns. Cedar scent rises faintly. Fine dust kisses your wrist and leaves a soft warmth there. The point ticks the wood in a soft, regular way, like a cricket hidden in grain. That little tick stays under the noise of the world and keeps you even. You draw the knife back and wipe dust into a little pile on the cloth. The dust is pale and dry, a whisper on skin. You wet the tip of your finger, press it to the pile, and carry the fine powder to the edge of the board so wind will not steal it. A loop of rope lies beside you, coiled and quiet, ready to bind the board when the marks are done. The bowl brings clay to your tongue when you sip and set it aside. Again the point finds wood. Tick, tick. The sound is gentle, regular, a string under the day that keeps your hand sure. You shape a fair rhythm for the count. Lines in a little garden, 4 small, 1 longer, then space to breathe the eye. Not numbers, only traces, enough to live inside your hand. Sun warms the back of your knuckles. The shade keeps the front cool. Your knife moves without pride, and the wood takes the line without protest. A neighbor coughs farther down the lane and grows quiet. From under a plank near a cart comes one shy scratch. Rat at work, not bold. Far off, the sea answers the stone with its long shush and lays the shush across your shoulders. Still, close to the ear, the point keeps its soft tick. You make 1 column for nights on the wall, 1 for turns at the narrow, 1 for simple rations taken and shared. You write no names. You carve no wide sign. Cedar keeps the story, and cedar is enough. Dust rises thin and tastes sweet and dry in the mouth. The knife point warms. Your fingers feel the wood's fine grain push back and then yield. The mark edges shine darker where oil from your skin has touched them. Tick, says the point, kind as a ladle against a cup. Tick, and the count grows without weight or worry. Shade leans farther across your work. The pine above you gives a darker green now, and the smell deepens. A little wind pulls along the pass and brings salt to the lip, a memory of fish and rope. Not sharp, only there. You fold the cloth under the board to see the grain better and draw a long, light cut to divide the page. The point ticks once low and once higher where the wood grows tight. You wait and let your hand rest on the warmed face. The bowl against stone cools your palm when you lift it. You drink again and taste clean clay, then water, then quiet. You think of the low wall built by careful hands and of the narrow watch that holds the long road in a single slice. You make a small sign for each, not art, only a mark to please the eye when you check the rows in lamplight. A goat outside the gate noses hay and lets a little sound fall through its nose. The lamp near your heel, still dark, gives a thin oil scent to the air just the same. Your shoulders take new ease as the body accepts sitting after standing. The knife returns to work. Tick, tick, says the point, steady as a rope drawn over smooth wood. Steam from the springs curls along the ground and climbs your shins, warm and damp, then thins. It leaves the smell of stone washed clean. You draw your sleeve across the board to take a powder that settled there and feel the cedar smooth as cloth. Your thumb smooths the last long cut until the edge rounds. A man behind the carts mutters in his cloak and falls quiet. The far shush of water lays itself under the soft ticks, so both sounds hold the hour together. You press one deeper line to mark a change of turn, and the point answers with a firmer note that calms the eyes. You pause to rub a little oil into the knife handle where sweat had dried it. Wood drinks and darkens. The smell turns warm and near. The strap on your shoulder shifts, and leather meets wool with a faint rasp that dies at once. You lay the knife back to the board and make 3 short cuts for the food you shared under pines: fig, cheese, bread. It is a simple joy to give even small things their place. Dust kisses your wrist again, and you wipe it with the back of the other hand. Tick, soft as breathing inside cloth. Tick, and your head clears a little more. Now the small pieces. 1 line to show the bowl filled, 1 to show it empty, 1 to show the rinse poured on dust. The board holds these tiny truths as well as the larger ones, and that makes you kinder toward both. You test the edge with your thumb and find a rough hair. A gentle pass of the blade tames it. The point meets the wood again and speaks its soft word. Tick, and nothing sharp remains. Tick, and the day agrees. Under your palm, the cedar warms enough to smell of old cupboards. Bread kept safe, rope kept dry. You string a thin cord through a bored hole at the corner and knot it square. The knot is small and sits flat. It will not scratch your skin when you carry the board on a thong inside the cloak. You hold the scrap up and let sun find the new cuts. The marks show soft and dark. You smile inside your mouth where no one sees. Rope from a far cart gives 1 slow rub on the yoke and rests. You lower the board to the cloth and make 1 last column for the road itself. A record of the way the narrow moves through time by water, wind, and feet. The point ticks the last short line and goes still. You brush the dust from the cloth into your palm and scatter it low, not to the wind, but to the ground near the wall. The ground takes it as if it was always meant to return there. You close the knife and slide it into its sleeve. The lamp does not need to wake, but you touch the pin and feel it ready. A comrade shifts on his blanket and lets the cloak settle around his shoulders. The wool makes 1 slow sound. You lift the bowl. The wood is smooth, and the water inside tastes now of cedar where a shaving fell by mistake. You do not mind. You drink and set it down. A quiet clink on stone says it is home. You thread the cord across your neck and let the board rest against your chest under the cloak. The cedar is warm and light. The marks feel like nothing at all, yet they hold days and turns and meals and work as surely as any tally on clay. You gather the cloth, the knife, the bowl, and lay them in the bag with care. The low wall gives your shoulder a final shared heat. Wind turns and carries sulfur thin and sea salt rich, and both scents lie together without quarrel. In your ear, the point's soft tick remains, not loud, only present, like a simple drum set far away. You stand, and the sound fades into wood grain and wool, into rope and stone, into the hush that guards the pass. The count holds without weight or worry. The little tick stays somewhere inside the cedar and keeps time for you, even as the sea lays its long, even shush across the road, and the day goes on. Rain comes quiet and thin, and the pass grows darker in a soft, even way. You fold yourself under a stone ledge where the rock leans over the narrow ground. The wall at your back holds an old warmth, but the air in front turns cool and clean. Threads of water hang in the wind and cross each other without hurry. Wool at your shoulders smells animal warm. The shield face wears a faint mist. From the rim of your helm, drops gather and let go. The slow drip, patient and small, measures the weather. You set your pack on wood laid across two flat stones, so mud will not climb into the cloth. A rope loop keeps the pack steady. Its fibers feel rough and sound quiet under your hand. You tilt a clay bowl to catch a little water and see how clear it runs. It tastes like clean stone, a thin taste with no weight, and it leaves the mouth calm. A neighbor coughs once in the shadow, then settles. From far down the lane, a goat noses at a patch of grass and makes a low, steady sound that ends almost before you hear it. The drop from your helm finds the stone by your toes. Slow again, then gone. You loosen the cloak and spread the lower edge on the ledge rock to dry where the air is mild. The cloth gives back a smell of smoke from last night's fire, sweet and low. The spear rests under your arm, with the shoe set on a wedge of wood. The wedge keeps it out of the small run of water that threads beside your sandal. A thin line of sand moves in the run like a quiet caravan, then stops behind a pebble and stacks in a pale fan. You lift the helm and turn it upside down for a moment. A short pour falls to the ground. Then only the slow drip remains, a patient count no louder than a finger on a bowl rim. You rub oil into the strap where the rain has stiffened a seam. The leather darkens and softens. It lies down flat and kind. Your fingers shine, then dull as the oil goes in. You wipe your hands on the inside of the cloak so dust will not cling. The ledge stone is cool through the cloth. It steadies your back and tells you to wait without worry. Steam from the hot pools wanders past in a thin veil and leaves a faint, clean scent, almost like new clay. The drop from your helm returns to the same small hollow by your boot, unhurried, exact. You take bread from a cloth, break off a heel, and hold it under the ledge to keep it dry. The crust scratches the tongue a little. The crumb is plain and good. You set 2 olives on the shield boss, their oil bright against the dull bronze. Salt lifts the mouth, then quiets. Water from the bowl clears away the salt and gives back the taste of stone. A dog somewhere under a cart shakes itself once. Drops patter on wood and stop. The rim of your helm lets go another drop, slow and round, and the sound lands like a small answer you were not required to give. Rain thickens for a short while and makes a light touch on everything. The low wall grows dark and smooth. Each stone looks newborn from the wet. You run a cloth along the shield rim to keep a thin channel from forming there. The cloth is already damp. It slides with a soft, steady sound. The rope loop on your pack holds a line of water along one twist. You pinch it and push the water away. A rat under a plank near the fire pit makes one dry scratch and goes still again. The slow drip from your helm returns to its old pace, patient and small, and the hour keeps its shape. You pull the knife and score a shallow mark on your scrap board to note the rain, just a thin sign. Cedar dust clings to your wrist and smells faintly sweet. You blow once across the board and tuck it back under the cloak. A man behind the ledge adjusts his blanket and shifts his weight. Wool rasp meets wool in a short hush. Far off, a boat rope answers a post with one low rub that the rain almost hides. You tilt your face toward the pass without leaving the cover. Water threads the air, and the stone floor drinks it with quiet thanks. Then again, from the helm rim, one drop gathers, swells, and falls. When the rain eases, the world keeps the sound it taught you. You lift the shield and shake nothing loose. The bronze holds a skin of water that looks like dull glass. You brush it with your palm, gentle and even, and leave the face clean. The spear's linen band is damp but sure. You run your thumb along the knot and feel it firm under the wet. You place the lamp near your knee and check the wick with a nail. The cup smells of old oil and clean clay, ready but unlit. The ledge gives a tiny echo when the next drop leaves your helm and finds the stone. A soft tick that stretches the quiet rather than breaks it. You pass time with small repairs. A thong end is too long. You fold and tie it short. The knot draws down with a little cord creak, honest and mild. A seam at the pack mouth wants a stitch. You make one with even hands and smooth the lip. You rub a touch of oil into the spear socket so rust will not find it while the air is wet. Salt rides the wind less now. The rain has lowered it. The sea still speaks beyond the bend. A long shush that blends with the ledge drip until both sounds feel like one slow breath of the land itself, steady and without strain. You look out from the shelter and watch the pass take color again. The stones brighten where they are wet and darken where they drink. Dust turns to thin paste in low spots and then to a faint crust when the wind shifts. A swallow writes a gray line under the ledge lip and is gone. The goat moves on. The neighbor's cough does not return. You hold the helm at an angle and let a last short line of water run off the rim and into your palm. It is cool, almost sweet, and it leaves no grit. You set the helm straight again and listen for the drop. One more comes, slow and small, then nothing for a while. You tuck the cloak close and ease out from the ledge to stand in the lighter rain. Wool takes the touch and warms against you. Sand gives under the sandal and holds firm again. You walk 3 paces to the low wall and look along the narrow road, the one you hold with others who keep their own quiet. The rain on your helm is only a film now. A drop waits at the rim as if it had a thought, then lets go, soft as a fingertip set down on a drum skin. The sound is barely there, but you feel it where the ribs meet. The weather has said what it had to say. You return under the ledge and gather your things in calm order. Bowl empty, wiped, and nested. Knife dry, slid into sleeve. Lamp wrapped in a strip of cloth. Rope loop coiled and set on the pack. Spear leaned where shadow reaches. Shield rim to knee for a moment, just to feel its good weight. The pass smells of rain-washed stone, wood, and thin smoke. You lean back and let the last few drops from your helm count themselves out, patient and small. each one a quiet bell for a day that will go on when the weather goes quiet too. And when the drip at last forgets to fall, the ledge keeps only the cool of the rock and the clean hush that rain leaves behind. The rain leaves a clean skin on the pass, and wind moves in to claim the space it washed. You stand where the ledge gave shelter and face the long cut of rock. The sky holds a pale lid. Light is thin and steady. Grit touches your cheek and lets you know the channel's shape. Cold air tastes of brine and smoke from damp wood. Cloak corners tug at their ties, then settle. A low wind hum slides along the wall, steady as rope pulled hand over hand. You lift the shield from its rest and set it by the knee of the low wall. Bronze keeps a cool touch that grows warmer under your glove. Sand sticks to the rim and makes a thin scratch until you wipe it away with cloth. The spear leans on a peg of wood. The peg offers a soft creak and stops. Salt rides the tongue, light as dust. The wall returns your weight without complaint. That same wind hum finds the stones and carries a slow line down the narrow, like a long cord drawn true. You tie your cloak tighter at the neck and bridle the loose fold so it will not flap. Wool is heavy from the wet but holds warmth. The smell is animal warm, close and kind. You brush grit from your cheek and feel the grain slide under the skin like fine sand on a board. Smoke from a damp bundle of sticks reaches you in a thin ribbon and fades. Far off, a boat rope answers its post with one dry rub and is quiet again. The wind hum along the wall stays even, patient as hands that know their work. You set a small bowl under a trickle from the ledge to freshen the water. Clay rings dark where drops find the rim. The water tastes like clean stone and nothing else. You drink and feel the cool settle along the throat. A neighbor coughs once and goes back to stillness. Under a plank near the carts, a rat makes one shy scratch, then forgets you. The hum moves past your ear again, steady and low, the pass singing its single note. You move along the low wall and push sand into seams so the base will not wash from last wet. Sand is cold where rain has held it. It warms under your palm as you press. Dust lifts in a thin breath and lays down again. A wedge of wood helps you aim a stubborn stone, and the fit gives a dull, honest sound. Your fingers pick grit from the fold of a strap and wipe it on cloth. The wind hum follows the line of stones as if it were learning them by touch. You test the rope that marks the edge no foot should cross. The twist feels rough and right. You lift slack over a peg and knot it short. The knot draws down with a small cord creak and sits square. The rope tastes of salt where the spray once reached it. Your lamp waits hooded at your heel, wick trimmed, oil sweet with a faint fruit smell. You do not wake it. The wind hum passes the lamp and thins to a faint thread, then thickens again where the narrow tightens, always the same slow pull. You rub oil into the throat of the spear socket so wet air will not mark it. Iron smells like rain before rain. Linen at the grip holds the shape of your hand. You press it once and feel comfort in the give. The spear shoe meets stone and rests. Your helm shows a line of water along the rim from the last hour. You tilt it to clear the line and see the drop fall. It leaves a small circle on the low rock, then dries. The hum along the wall keeps count for you, and you do not need numbers. You take bread from cloth and eat without hurry. The crust is rough as sanded wood. The crumb is simple and good. An olive follows and lifts the mouth with soft salt. You drink from the bowl. Clay kisses the lip. Water sets everything even. Smoke from a damp fire near the carts drifts back and forth with the wind. a light string that never finds a tune. A goat noses at a rope-wrapped bale and then lets the rope be. The low-wind hum goes on, steady as rope pulled hand over hand. You fold the scrapboard from earlier and set one small mark to recall this wind. Cedar dust clings to your wrist and smells like old chests and dry rooms. The knife point feels warm from your fingers. The cut is thin and neat. You tuck the board under the cloak where it will not catch grit. A dog turns once on a blanket and sleeps with a soft, leaking sound through its nose. You watch a single curl of smoke crawl along the rock face and vanish. The hum slides over that face as if smoothing it with cloth. You walk the length of the narrow and let your sandals learn the ruts again. Stone is cold and clean. Small pebbles click and then lie still. You lean into a corner where wind piles. It presses your cloak flat, then lets it lift, then settles again, like a tide that forgot the sea. Your tongue finds brine at the edge of your mouth and a hint of damp ash. You pull the carry rope tighter across the pack so cloth will not chatter. The low wind hum settles into your chest and keeps your pace even. You rest your palm on the wall and feel the fine grain the rain left behind. It is like new skin on old hands. You think of the rope in your fingers yesterday, the same drawn line, hand over hand, sure as the ground you hold. Water runs in a thin thread where the ledge drips. It carries 3 grains of sand and then none. The lamp by your heel stays dark, but sure. A comrade shifts under a cloak and lets his weight find the old groove in the ground. The hum answers the shift with no change at all. Light turns the pass from slate to dull copper and then to a pale, clean stone again. Wind finds the cooking place and writes one low tone through the mouth of a clay chimney. Onion and wet wood share the air in a mild way. You wipe the shield rim with cloth and watch the gold underneath come back. Soft and quiet, not proud. A rope ham at the cart gives one lazy swing and stops. Dust from the road rises, then falls in a sheet you can almost see. The hum holds you where you stand, and the hour holds you too. You sit on your folded cloak with your back to the low wall and let the wind do its slow work. It presses and eases, like hands on a rope that will not let go or run. You watch a strip of cloth you tied to a peg for warning. It lifts, leans, and lies down again. Water in the bowl shows a wrinkled skin that smooths when the gust passes. Your palm warms on the shield rim. The taste of brine fades. The smell of damp wood sinks into nothing. The low wind hum slides along the wall once more, steady as rope pulled hand over hand, and you keep that sound with you as you rise. The narrow quiet, the tools ready, the day held in a soft, even note. The wind hum lowers as the light thins, and dusk moves in along the narrow ground you know. Stone cools under your sandals. The wall gives back a slow warmth kept from the day. You lay the shield on a folded cloth and ease your shoulder. Smoke from damp wood trails low and sweet. Salt hangs softer now. You pass a clay cup, cool and chipped, and swallow a little water sweetened by ash. The cup returns to a waiting hand, and you hear the ladle make one soft dip in the jar, a round, calming sound. A small fire sits inside a ring of stones. The wood is not proud. It burns low and honest. Ash settles on the rim of the pot and turns the edge gray. It gives the water that faint sweet that feels like clean clay. You hold the cup with both hands and feel the rough lip steady your fingers. The first swallow finds dust and carries it away. The second carry tastes of cool stone and a quiet promise. When the ladle dips again, the water folds on itself and then lies smooth, the same soft circle you could listen to without looking. Bread comes from a cloth and meets your palm with a firm weight. You break the crust and the inside shows a pale, kind crumb. It softens on your tongue. A line of smoke from the hearth lingers there, not sharp, only warm. Figs return with a kind sugar. Seeds crack once and are gone. You pass the cup to your left, and fingers brush the rim in turn, each touch quick and careful, as if the rim were a line of chalk you all agree to keep. The ladle answers the passing with one more soft dip and rests. You order the small things that make peace. A coil of rope lies near your heel, ends tied short. The lamp stands with a trimmed wick, clay warm from your hand, though no flame shows. The bowl waits mouth down on a clean plank. Sand you brushed from the wall has settled in a neat fan by your knee. You share the figs with even hands, one to you, one to a shadow close by, one to another shadow a little farther off. When the cup returns, the clay is cooler. A thumb has left a half moon of clean on the wet lip. The ladle dips once, soft and round, and you feel the hours settle. Sounds stay gentle and near the ground. A neighbor coughs under a cloak and stills. A dog turns twice and sighs into wool. Under a plank near the carts, a rat scratches a single neat line and disappears. Far down the lane, a goat noses hay and lets out a small sound that the pass swallows whole. From the shore, a boat rope answers its post with a slow rub and then forgets it. You lift the bread heel to your mouth. It tastes of flour and the day's labor. You wet your lips with the cup. Ash-sweet water lies kind on the tongue and then leaves nothing at all. Stone takes on evening color, a gray that remembers gold. You lean back to the wall and feel old heat in the rock press through cloth, patient and loyal. Pine shade darkens to one broad roof. Resin scent deepens and sits with the smoke as if they were family. You carry the figs you saved, and they bless the mouth once more with that easy sugar that does not ask. Dust lies like light flour on the back of your hand. When the cup makes its round, fingers brush the rim again. The ladle moves, a soft dip in the jar, and the sound runs like a small ring across the group before going quiet. You test the strap that will ride by your collarbone, sliding a touch of oil into the place where leather had stiffened. Cloth answers leather with a slow swish, content and low. You tighten a thong at the pack mouth so cloth will not sag. The spear rests on wood. The wood smells of sun long gone. You lift the cup and feel that one chip you know so well. It finds your lip every time, polite as a friend who will not sit anywhere else. The water is cool and carries ash in a faint sweetness, like smoke that has learned manners. You fold a fig into a tear of bread and take salt from an olive to finish it. The mouth wakes, then calms. A crumb clings to your thumb. You lick it away and taste flour and a little oil from the day's work. You pour a finger of water into the bowl, swish and cast the rinse onto dust. It darkens, holds for a moment, and fades to powder again. The lamp's pin smells of old fruit. You touch it, then leave it. The ladle dips once more, round and calm, and the pot answers with a quiet ripple that dies before it thinks to speak. The cup finds another circuit, and hands meet it with care, rough skin on clay, clay on rough skin. You watch the rim move from palm to palm like a small moon that knows its path. A man at the edge folds his cloak tighter. The wool gives a low rasp and then smooths. Someone shifts a plank and makes a soft, plain knock against stone. The fire gives a few grains of charcoal to the ash and rests. The sky above the narrow turns from faint steel to flat ink. The ladle waits, then gives one more soft dip, only to show that it is still part of this hour. You rinse your fingers in the bowl and dry them on the inside of the cloak so the outside will stay clean for the road. The shield rim at your knee is cool again. You set a palm on it and feel metal rising toward warm. The rope coil near your heel shows one twist that tries to wander. You smooth it into the round and it agrees to stay. Fish salt travels up from the shore when the wind leans that way. Smoke answers from damp wood when it leans back. You take the last fig, small and dark, and taste sun once more. The ladle moves again, soft dip, and the water makes one ring that fades as night closes. You set the cup beside the lamp and fold the cloth that held the bread. A crumb or two remains. You brush them into your palm and give them to the ground where the ants will find their share. The bowl returns to its plank, mouth down, steady. You loosen the shield strap and then pull it snug again, so it will remember when you need it. The fire sinks to red and holds that glow as if it were a secret you are allowed to see. You pass the cup one last time, and fingers brush the rim in turn, a small vow without words. The ladle makes a final soft dip, round and calming, and goes still on the jar lip. You look along the narrow way. Stone, rope, wood, cloth, water, dust, bread. Simple things, each in its place. The cup sits where it will not tip. The lamp is ready if asked. The spear lies within reach, linen band dry from the heat of your hand. The sea keeps its long, low shush beyond the bend. A cart settles. A wheel speaks once against a wedge and quiets. You gather the cup, feel the cool chip again, and set it into the bag with care. You rise and shoulder your gear with slow ease. Wool meets leather and stays quiet. The wall gives your back a last store of warmth and then lets you go. You walk 3 paces into the darker part of the pass and look back once at the small fire. Smoke rises in a narrow line, then thins into the night. Someone lays the ladle across the jar's mouth, wood on clay, gentle as a hand on a sleeping child. The round sound of its last soft dip lingers in the ear, then folds into the hush, leaving only cool clay, faint ash sweetness on the tongue, and the even dark that keeps all of you in one steady room. Dusk folds itself into the narrow way, and the ground you shared with the cup grows firm again. You shoulder the shield from cloth and let the strap find its place. Bronze gives a low warmth against your forearm, a lived-in heat. Cloak corners lie where you tied them, steady and close. You plant your heel and feel stone answer, a calm, simple reply. The line gathers to its place as the smoke from the small fire thins. Somewhere in the skin of memory, 2 slow knocks return on a wooden peg, then hush, like a quiet rule set back on its shelf. You find the stance you trust. Heel true, front foot light, knees willing, hips settled. Shield weight rests sure on your forearm. The rim meets a neighbor rim and stays there, kind as joined boards. Bronze smells faintly warm, like sun kept in metal. Sweat salt tastes gentle on the lip, clean rather than harsh. The spear butt nudges a wedge of wood you placed at noon and settles. Dust lifts, thinks, and lays down again. The line settles like stacked wood, stable and right. Somewhere back in the head, those 2 slow knocks sound again, plain and slow, then go still. You adjust small things so the hour will ask nothing sudden. The rope that marks the edge lies square along its pegs. Your hand checks the knot and leaves it. A lamp waits hooded by the low wall. Clay is warm from your palm, though no flame wakes. A clay bowl with a thumb of water sits on a plank. It smells of clean stone. Cloth lies folded inside the shield, ready to wipe grit from the strap if grit tries a trick. Far off, a boat rope rubs its post once and forgets. In the quiet after, your mind touches the peg again. 2 slow knocks, then the right silence. Leather at the collar moves smooth under wool. Earlier oil keeps it soft. The seam does not bite. You brush a grain of sand from the strap and feel the grain roll under the nail. Smoke from damp wood trails low and mild. It threads with resin from pine and stays light. A crumb of bread left in the molar softens and gives back the flavor of the meal, simple and kind. The line of shields edges forward the width of a hand and stops like a good bench finding its legs. In your ear, the order of the place gathers, and with it the memory. 2 slow knocks on the peg of duty, a hush of public order. You look along the row with wide eyes that see without staring. Bronze faces are not bright. They hold a soft gold where the last light touches them. Rims kiss and hold, each one a small promise that keeps the next. Sand under the sandals is thin and even, cool where shadow holds, warm where the day lingers. The smell of salt from the channel returns, small and clean. A neighbor shifts, leather over cloth, and falls still. Behind you, a dog turns once on a blanket. Wool makes one short hush. In that hush, the 2 remembered knocks show and fade like a sign underwater. You lean a little into the round face and take its push like a friend's hand placed on your arm. Wood in your spear holds a quiet strength. The linen band you wrapped sits firm under your thumb. You smooth a wrinkle in the cloak and fold it into the strap so it will not chatter. The rope line along the edge gives one dry whisper where it crosses stone, then accepts its work. A lamp pin near your knee smells of old fruit. It waits. The line holds its shape. In the soft warehouse of the mind, the peg sits where it belongs. 2 slow knocks placed there to keep the shelves honest. You mark time with small checks. A stitch at the bag mouth lies true. The thong that binds the spare rope ends stays short and neat. A wedge under a loose plank keeps it quiet for the night. You take a swallow from the bowl and taste clay, water, nothing more. The cool goes down and steadies the inside. Your tongue gathers a mild salt from the lip and leaves it be. A goat outside the farther gate noses hay and lets out a low sound that ends before it begins. The narrow holds its calm. 2 slow knocks visit once more, careful as a steward closing a door without a rattle. Stone rises close on both sides and turns the pass into a long, simple room. The wall under your forearm keeps a little of the day for you. Its warmth eases tight muscle without talk. Air moves through with a quiet hand and smells of wet wood, dull ash, and the far sea. You rub the shield rim with cloth where a trace of grit had found a home. The grit agrees to leave. Sand rolls in a faint ribbon when your heel shifts, then settles where you ask it to stay. Somewhere in that settling, the old signal returns. 2 slow knocks set lightly on the peg, a reminder that order can be soft. You think of the low wall built to knee, of stones chosen for the same height, the same feel, the same willingness to bear. You think of rope pulled hand over hand when the wind tried to own the channel, and of a bowl passed in dusk with the ladle's round dip. Simple work keeps the mind smooth. You watch a lizard test warm rock, then slip into a crack when shadow moves. Under a plank near the carts, a rat sketches one dry line and forgets the rest. A comrade clears his throat and finds silence again. From the safe corner of thought, 2 slow knocks answer, then let go. You raise the round face a hair, so the weight will ride the bone, not the muscle. The strap obeys. Your forearm takes the press and returns it. The spear shoe turns a crumb of stone into a neat hollow and rests. Bronze holds a skin of warmth. When your fingers lift, they carry its faint metal scent. A grain of sand at your lip gives a tiny crunch and becomes nothing. The line moves a palm's width and stops as one, like wood stacked until the heap is right. In that smooth stop, the memory of those knocks opens and closes, as if the peg, once set, checks itself with gentle pride. You give the ground its share of care. Loose sand at the wall's base gets pushed into a seam with the edge of your hand. A thin stone underfoot that wants to roll gets moved aside and laid flat where it can do no mischief. The rope that marks the danger line gets a small lift and shake so the grit will leave its twist. A lamp wick receives a careful pinch to keep its nose even if the hour asks for flame. The pass smells now of rubbed leather, cooled bronze, and clean dust. Then the quiet sign returns, inward and exact. 2 slow knocks, nothing sharp, only the clean sound of order settling in. Night leans nearer. The sea below the bend lays one long shush along the rock and waits for itself to return. A cartwheel finds its wedge and gives a mild wooden nudge, and then no more. The sky over the channel carries no story yet, only a deepening blue that feels thick to the tongue. You lick a trace of salt and taste the day without rush. Your feet stand as if placed by a careful hand. The shield rests sure. The spear keeps steady. The row keeps you, and you keep the row. Inside, where thought stores its tools, you hear the 2 slow knocks on the peg of memory again, and after them, a hush of public order, plain as cloth laid smooth on a table. You hold and watch and wait, your tasks the size of hands: rope, lamp, bowl, sand, cloth, stone, water, wood, dust, bread, the world that keeps you, modest and exact. Nothing asks for hurry, nothing cuts. The narrow ground under your heel answers when you test it, and the answer is the same each time. I hold. You lean, lift, settle, and the line settles with you. Bronze keeps its faint warm scent. Salt on the lip stays kind. Somewhere just behind the ear, those 2 slow knocks come once more, and then the quiet afterward stretches wide. A room with a floor, you know. A room where everything is in its place. Night gathers along the narrow road you held, and the ground remembers your heel. You lift the strap and lay the shield on folded cloth, then turn toward the wooden stair. The rail is smooth from many hands. Rope knots sit where you left them, tight and sure. You climb the platform again and feel the boards answer under your sandals. A quiet give and hold. The air is still. Nothing pushes, nothing pulls. Your coat keeps a clean smoke smell from the small fire at dusk. Far down the lane, a bell hums one note and fades, a soft thread laid across the dark. You stand and let your hands rest on the rail. Wood is cool at first, then shares your warmth. Stone faces loom to either side and hold the night like a long bowl. Above them, the sky carries a deep blue that keeps a little of the day, as if the sun had left one drop behind. You lean and search the quiet field. There it is, faint and plain. The comet that once wrote a wide mark now shows only a short pale stroke, like chalk fading on blue. It does not need you to name it. It lies there and grows smaller. The bell down the lane hums again. One low note, then quiet. You set a hooded lamp on the plank and do not wake it. The cup smells of old oil and clean clay, enough to keep you company without light. A clay bowl stands near your hand with a finger of water saved from the jar. The rim tastes of stone when you touch it to your lip. Your coat lifts a little at the edge and settles, a soft brush of wool on wool. You fold a cloth and wipe grit from the board so the bowl will sit flat. Dust moves in a fine cloud, then sinks without fuss. The bell's single hum returns from far away, gentle as a hand placed once on a door and taken back. You look down toward the pass. The low wall holds its line. The rope at the edge lies square on its pegs. A dog circles twice near the carts and lowers its head. Under a plank, a rat makes one careful scratch and forgets you. Near the gate, a neighbor coughs and grows calm again. The fire ring shows a dull red under ash, no higher than a coin. Your coat's smoke scent stays clean, like fruit wood that burned without grudge. Above all this, the little comet keeps small and even. The bell hums again, that same one note, and the sound folds into stone like water into sand. You take the scrapboard from inside your cloak and tilt it toward the sky. Your knife rests in its sleeve. There is no need to mark tonight. The last cut you made for wind still looks new. The cedar smells faint and steady. You slide the board back. Tie the thong short and smooth the knot so it will not catch. A strip of linen at your wrist dries a little from the cool air. Its weave feels like soft rope under the skin. In the stillness, your tongue keeps a light salt from the sea. The bell's hum travels the lane again, a single round tone that opens and closes like a lid. You step to the platform's corner and lay your palm on stone. The rock keeps the day's old heat in thin pockets. Your hand finds one and holds it. The boards under you creak once and are quiet. Wood shows its grain under moonwash, straight and honest. You think of rooms along the road where a new month now sits on tables and shelves. A small board hung by a peg. A few simple marks agreed by many hands. In those rooms, clay jars breathe out straw and grain. Bread cools on cloth. Water keeps its plain taste in bowls. The bell hums one note again and rests, as if closing a counted page. You lift the shield just to feel the strap settle, then let it down. Bronze smells warm from the day. It holds a low glow that the eye reads even in the dark. You touch the rim and find it smooth from careful work. A thin chip near the boss tells a story you do not need to recall aloud. The spear lies along the rail, linen band dry against your thumb. Rope on the far post hangs without sway. No wind, no cloud, no rush. The comet's small tail leans and shortens as you watch. The bell sends its one hum again. No alarm, no summon. Only a soft ending sound laid out like a neat cloth. You sip water from the bowl and let it sit on your tongue. It tastes of stone and ash from the ladle, the same small sweetness as at dusk, a kind flavor that does not linger. You wipe the bowl's lip with the corner of your cloth and turn it mouth down to keep dust out. A piece of bread waits in the bag. You break it and chew slowly, plain flour and a little smoke. Your coat holds its clean scent, as if it were a room of wood with windows open. The boards beneath you keep still. The bell hum travels once more, lighter now, and the lane keeps it for a breath and lets it go. You think of the day and its tools. Rope tied and checked, lamp trimmed and patient, bowl filled, rinsed, dried, sand pushed into seams, cloth folded to fit the bag, stone nudged to seat, water carried and given, wood set, not to show, but to hold, dust brushed from strap, then from hand, then from thought, bread shared under pines, the low wall like stacked wood, the narrow ground held true. In each of these, a small order. You feel it now as a quiet plank under your feet. The comet fades a little more. A goat outside the farther gate noses hay and settles. The bell gives a hum, softer than before, like a hand that knows the latch and closes it without noise. You lean on the rail and lift your face to the sky. Stars keep their hard points. The narrow blue deepens to ink. The comet is there, but you have to soften the eye to keep it. It slides into the edge of sight and holds there, not lost, not loud. You hold it the way you hold a name in the mouth when you do not need to say it. Cold from the rail moves into your palm and steadies the mind. A cartwheel down the lane settles against its wedge and is quiet. Your coat's smoke scent thins to nothing and then returns when you move your shoulder. The bell hums once more, a far round note that smooths the hour. You gather your things in a simple order. Knife into sleeve, scrap board under cloak, bowl into bag with a fold of cloth between. Lamp lifted, wick checked, pin snug, then set down again. Rope coiled in a flat round and hung on the peg. Shield raised and settled against your knee so the rim will not catch. Sand brushed from the plank's edge with the side of your hand. You look once more at the small streak in the sky and let it be what it is now. Pale, short, kind to the dark. The bell gives its last hum for the night. A single tone drawn thin as hair, then gone. You climb down the stair as the boards return your weight. Wood remembers your measure and gives it back. Stone meets your heel and answers without strain. The lane is wide enough for 2 men with spears, yet tonight it feels like a single path meant only for walking home. Houses hold a mild fire glow behind shutters. Warm rooms keep the new month like a candle inside a jar, a steady light that nobody needs to watch. You pass the low wall and touch it with the back of your fingers. It keeps its quiet heat. The air tastes clean, and a little of ash and sea. No wind speaks. At the gate you hang the coil of rope where morning hands will thank you. You place the shield on felt and fold the cloak across it to keep dew away. A bowl waits on a plank. You fill it from a jar and cover it with cloth so dust will not gather. You slide the scrap board into its notch so the marks will face the room and not the door. Your coat holds the last clean smoke for you and gives it back when you lift it from the peg. In the lane beyond, the bell is silent now. Its single note lingers the way wood grain lingers under the hand after you take it away. You lean once more against stone and look up through the gap between roofs. The short chalk stroke has thinned until it is almost only a thought. You do not chase it. You let it go and keep the place it made in you, small and even. The night carries a cool, smooth touch. No rope moves. No lamp hisses. Water in the bowl lies flat. The world returns to the size of tools and rooms and shared bread. You hold that size the way you would hold a warm cup with both hands. Somewhere a child turns on a mat and finds the good side again. A neighbor's cough does not return. You close your eyes and let the coat sit heavy on your shoulders. Wool answers the skin with a slow, kind press. Bronze at your knee gives one gentle warmth and asks nothing. You stand there a long while without counting. The lane keeps its hush. The gate keeps its post. The houses keep their light inside. The sky keeps a few hard points and one last trace that only appears when you soften the eye. And where the bell had hummed, the air holds a round quiet, like a bowl set down on wood and left there, steady and sure while the new month sits within warm rooms and the night folds itself into clean, simple dark.